This is Conversations on Careers and Professional Life, a podcast from the Foster School of Business, MBA Career Management Office. I'm your host, Gregory Heller. On each episode, I talk with guests from faculty and staff to students and business leaders about the skills and strategies that can help you design a professional life that you're happy with. On this episode, I speak with Mikaela Winter, a program manager at Microsoft working on the data center energy team. Mikaela graduated from Foster's Work-Compatible Evening MBA program in 2021. While her background, as you'll hear, related to sustainability, she has some great advice for students and anyone pursuing a career in sustainability, regardless of their background. We talk about the impact of Foster's experiential learning opportunities, the importance of storytelling and communicating your passion for sustainability, staying focused on what you know to be right for you, and so much more. I hope you'll enjoy this conversation on careers and professional life with Mikaela Winter. So Mikaela, welcome to Conversations on Careers and Professional Life.
Thank you. Very happy to be here.
I wanted to talk to you because we see an increasing interest in careers in sustainability, and there are a lot of different careers in that space. And your role at Microsoft is one that I think is very interesting and is a career path that is interesting to many. So why don't you tell us first a little bit about your role at Microsoft right now?
Sure. So today I serve as a program manager on the data center energy and sustainability team at Microsoft. So I'm on the part of the company and the part of the business, cloud operations and innovation that's really focused on Microsoft's data center and cloud services. My role specifically is to ensure that Microsoft's data centers have power. So that includes managing existing sites, expansions, and new builds, and partnering with internal and external stakeholders on community engagement, policy and regulatory issues, grid reliability, grid resilience, and grid decarbonization.
And Microsoft has ambitious goals around sourcing carbon-free energy for their operations.
That's correct. Yes. So I am in a position where for the regions that I work in, I'm looking for and partnering with subject matter experts within the organization to bring carbon-free energy solutions to our data center energy consumption.
And what were you doing before this? What was your job before the MBA or during, because you were in the evening program, during the MBA program?
Yeah, so prior to Microsoft, I worked for a company called 3 Degrees. 3 Degrees is a climate and sustainability services provider. They work with utilities and businesses and other entities of all shapes and sizes and industries, developing climate, renewable energy, carbon solutions to help those organizations address their various climate and sustainability commitments. My role specifically was I ran sales operations for the business development team there. So I was responsible for partnering with all of our internal product and service teams, and then IT, accounting, marketing, all of those internal support teams as well, helping our sales organization partner with businesses and drive progress and impact in climate and sustainability.
So you had a background that is related to what you're doing now. What from the MBA experience has really helped prepare you for the role that you have now? What would you say some of the most valuable things from the MBA are?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that come to mind. First, I will say that the reason that I went back to get my MBA was I had an environmental studies undergrad, so I've had an interest and commitment to the environment and sustainability throughout the course of my career, but reached this point where I really wanted to expand my knowledge and expertise across all facets of business so that when I In conversations and engaging with stakeholders and partners, I could level up my ability to influence and drive impact. And so, in terms of how that has supported my role today, I mean, I use everything that I learned in business school in the conversations that I have and the way that I build business cases for projects and initiatives, the way that I present, the way that I kind of engage stakeholders, drive impact, all of those sorts of things. So really just that kind of understanding of all of the facets of business has been really valuable. But I would be remiss if I did not kind of highlight that. So I left my job at 3 Degrees in March of 2021. I had reached a point where I knew I wanted to make a change, wanted to elevate my ability to have an impact in the climate and sustainability space. And I spent my last quarter of my MBA program as a student only, so I was not working full time. And I took advantage of one of Foster's experiential learning opportunities, and actually did a energy project with the team that I now work on at Microsoft. So through the Foster School of Business, I had an opportunity to spend 3 months with the energy team at Microsoft on a project focused on grid decarbonization. And shortly thereafter, about a month after, it just so happened that my role posted. And one of the women that I worked with in that 3 months is my now boss. So that was an absolutely pivotal experience for me, and sort of the cornerstone of my time at Foster, and how important it was in helping me progress and elevate and kind of continue to launch my career in the direction that I want to go.
And that was an independent study project through the strategic consulting program?
So I did do an independent study project in my second year. This one was one of the strategy consulting projects. So I was on a project team. There was 4 of us total. Okay. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. The strategic consulting program is just an absolute gem at the Foster School.
Yeah.
In the full-time program, we have the applied strategy course, and then all students can do the field studies and independent studies. And these are great opportunities, especially for people who have a very particular career path in mind, to get experience and exposure to the companies and the roles in the sustainability space.
Definitely.
How much or how important was your pre-MBA career in success in that project and in success in securing this role?
I would say it was very integral. One of the things that I kind of like to share when I think about my journey is, in undergrad, I have this memory of like sitting in an intro to the environment course, and I was super terrified and fascinated by climate change. And I made a decision at that time that this was the space that I wanted to work in. This is where I wanted to invest my time and energy in my career. And I made it my mission then to figure out how to leverage and empower businesses to be a part of the solution to climate change. And so all of the decisions that I've made in my career and in my kind of academic pursuits have been through that lens. And so my experience pre-MBA provided a very solid foundation for what sustainability looks like in businesses, and how you can go into an organization and assess needs and assess pain points and figure out how to really anchor sustainability solutions within the context of what matters most to that organization. So that was sort of the foundation setting. And then my MBA came at a time where I was then kind of opening up my eyes to all of these other possibilities, and building skills and networking and building relationships and having all of these experiences that really brought to life what I wanted to do. And then that kind of became the launching pad off of that foundation to the role that I'm in today.
So what advice would you have for a job seeker or a student who has an interest in moving into the kind of space you're in now, say energy team at a big tech company, that doesn't have the kind of pre-MBA career experience as you, but has the passion and the interest? What would you tell that person?
So I would say, first and foremost, when I think about the skills that are valuable in these sorts of roles, they're skills that you can develop not actually working in sustainability. So things like managing and driving impact amidst ambiguity, thinking outside of and beyond what's right in front of you. So kind of not just going with the status quo, but being creative and curious and innovative in the way that you think about crafting solutions and driving impact. Stakeholder engagement and management is critical to this work. And then I think systems thinking is another skill that is incredibly valuable, because when we think about climate and sustainability and energy, I mean, we're talking about massive, complex systems that interact with all aspects of society. And so there are many of those skills that I think, whether you're in sustainability or not, you're probably using those in your day to day. And so thinking about how, when you go out into interviews and are networking and kind of building relationships, how you kind of talk about and position those skills as being incredibly valuable and transferable to a role in sustainability. And then the other part that I really like to encourage folks to think about, and it's sort of my philosophy when people ask the question like, how can I make a difference, or how can I get involved in sustainability? Instead of thinking about it as something that you have, like a place that you have to go to, or like a big jump or change that you have to make, think about it instead as, what am I doing in my day to day? What company do I work for? Who are our stakeholders? What markets do we operate in? What are my unique skills and strengths? And figure out how to bring sustainability into your work right now. So whether that means, engaging in a employee resource group or an initiative within your organization that is working on or talking about or discussing sustainability issues, or thinking about how you can start to apply concepts and tools and solutions within the lens of sustainability to the work that you do, I think it's a lot more approachable than people can sometimes think. And it really just takes being a little bit more creative and seeking out those opportunities, because then you can start to build that experience right away and help that bolster kind of a path towards maybe making a transition into a specific career in the industry.
Well, and I think it's also right now more approachable because it's top of mind, and a lot of companies are thinking about things like sustainable development goals, about, reducing carbon footprint or water footprint or waste, because in many of these realms, those reductions can actually translate into increases in things like profits. And so, looking for opportunities to be more efficient, whatever your role is, can actually have a bottom line impact for your company.
And I think I totally agree with that. And I think too, whether you're working for an organization that hasn't really started yet, and isn't really thinking about those issues, but knows that they should, or you're in a very mature organization that has sustainability teams and all of that. In either one of those environments, there's an incredible amount of opportunity, because in the environment where the organization is really mature, that means that there's just a ton of resources and people and teams that you can start to engage and partner with. If you're in a company that hasn't really done anything or is just getting started and trying to figure it out, you can be part of the voice and the work that brings those sustainable development goals into the conversation, starts to think about, what do we as an organization need to care about when it comes to sustainability? Who are the communities that we impact? Where are there operational inefficiencies in our supply chain where we're wasting money and resources? And we could button that up and start to save money and see that bigger impact on the business. So wherever you are, there is a ripe amount of opportunity. It's just kind of how you think about it and where you want your kind of niche or focus area to be.
When you were thinking about your next step, did you know it was going to be in energy, or were there other aspects of sustainability that you were considering?
I would say that I was thinking more broadly, or looking more broadly than just energy. There was a natural connection between my work at 3 Degrees and energy, because 3 Degrees at its inception was very focused in the renewable energy industry. So a lot of the work that we did with our clients was focused in energy and renewables. But for me personally, I was thinking more broadly. And it was really that experience through the strategy consulting project at Foster where I got to get that exposure and a window, kind of a lens into what the energy team at Microsoft is doing. And what really compelled me ultimately to take this path and go down this path is energy. Again, going back to systems thinking, energy is just this huge system and it touches so many people. And we as a society and as a world will need energy, into the future. And then Microsoft being the organization that it is and the opportunity that the organization has to have a huge impact to influence energy systems and the grid and leverage the technology and data and other insights and strengths that the organization has was allowed me to see, oh, okay, if I want to have an impact, this is an incredible place to do that. And that was really the turning point for me, was thinking about energy systems and the scale and opportunity for impact. And then Microsoft's culture and our mission were super aligned with the way that I think about and want to be in the world. And so there was just that really nice coming together of all of these interests for me. And that kind of drove me taking this next step.
Are there any books or publications, resources that helped you get up to speed during that project, or that you are regularly consulting or reading now that you're in this work? So for someone who wanted to, didn't have that background, that you had at 3 degrees, but really wants to understand the energy systems and how big companies think about purchasing their energy and securing carbon-free energy, is there anything you recommend people read?
So I would say there weren't any books specifically. However, a couple of things that I would suggest are there are a lot of kind of organizations that generate thought leadership in the energy and climate space that I think are very worth signing up for the newsletters and kind of going to source the latest market intelligence information and insights. And those are GreenBiz, which is more broadly sustainability, but they have so much great content in the energy industry specifically. There's the Clean Energy Buyers Alliance. There's rmi.org. And those are all places where through the project, the team was sourcing content and kind of subject matter expertise to help bolster our kind of the information that we had and that we could apply to the project. So those are a couple of things. There's also, and this is related to the project, but I think generally when you think about energy and sustainability, the Energy Gang podcast is a really good one. And then My Climate Journey, hosted by Jason Jacobs, is another one that I would highly recommend to folks that are interested in this space and want to have some of that content and food for thought as they're thinking about and kind of leveling up their knowledge and expertise in the area of sustainability and climate.
And I'll put links to all those in the full episode show notes at conversationsoncareers.com. As you were preparing to interview for this role, I mean, obviously you had a warm lead here because you'd worked with the team, but were there resources from the Foster School, from the career management team that you found particularly helpful in preparing you for the interviews?
Yes. So, and I promise to the listeners out there that Gregory did not tee this, that we didn't talk about this ahead of time. But I relied quite heavily on career management to support me in both my job search, resume prep, interview prep. And this was both during the program, even when I wasn't looking for work. And actually, Gregory, I think you were the first sign off on my resume as I was trying to go through the green lighting process at Foster. And so definitely with resume prep. And then when I actually started the job search, the first part of that was while I was a student. But then even after I had graduated, career management was still incredibly supportive. So I worked with coaches to do interview practice, which for me was incredibly valuable to just get back in that kind of space and comfort, talking about yourself, talking about your experiences and your story, figuring out how to align and position projects that you've worked on to kind of elevate your ability to show up well for the specific kind of characteristics or what a job description is looking for. And so that was, incredibly helpful and certainly a huge benefit to me. And I actually referred one of the Foster career management coaches to my husband because she does private career coaching as well. So he's worked with her for his own job search. And so I can't say enough good things about career management at Foster. And it's such a invaluable resource that students should take advantage of, and depending on what you're looking for.
Do you think there's anything special about preparing for a career search in sustainability that's, let's say, different than maybe the more well-worn path of a tech PM or consulting?
I think there's two things that jump to mind. Storytelling, I think, is incredibly important in sustainability and when you're interviewing in sustainability roles, because when you think about messaging around sustainability, there's always a story there. And so that was one thing that I found to be particularly useful when I was in sustainability interviews. And then the second piece is, and I think this applies in many jobs, but I think is especially important in sustainability, is demonstrating kind of the why or the passion behind why you're doing the work or why you want to be doing the work. So whether that means you, like me, have had your whole career focus in sustainability, or you're pivoting and you've reached this point where you've done something else for 10 years and you're like, you know what, I really want to get into sustainability, being able to really articulate and tell the story of the why and kind of what drives you to be doing this sort of work can help set you apart, because it does require a big commitment and motivation and drive, because the issues that you have to work on and the projects that you have to work on and the solutions you have to develop and all of that, they're incredibly complex and they can be really daunting and overwhelming. And so having that kind of coming back to that drive and intention for why you're doing this work, I think can help set you apart when you're preparing it for sustainability roles and interviewing.
Storytelling, I'm going to underscore that. It's how I got into this business, if you will. And I think that it can make a critical difference, in knowing your why, being able to communicate that is really important. Were there any other extracurricular activities that you engaged in during the program at Foster that you think helped you achieve your career success?
Yeah, the other type of experiences that was outside of just the academic was case competitions. I definitely would encourage current students to sign up for and get involved in case competitions.
So these case competitions that you're talking about, are those the radical collaboration sprint activities that career management organized?
Yes, they are. Thank you. They are the radical collaborations. I did a number of them. The ones, and I'm smiling, you can't see my face, I'm smiling because I'm just thinking back. It's like I'm putting myself back in the moment of these like mini blitz case competitions, which were on a Friday. You get assigned a team on a Thursday, you get the case on a Friday, and it's a real problem that a real organization is trying to solve. So when I did these, I did one for Google and then one for Facebook, now Meta. So you get the problem on Friday, and then you have to submit your presentation on Sunday evening. So it's a mad dash to come together as a team, assess what the problem is, develop the solution, and then put the presentation together. And what I loved about these experiences is it is so important to be able to make quick decisions with limited information and then present them in a way where you're not saying, I know everything, so this is what we're supposed to do, or this is what I think we should do. It's saying, this is how I approached this problem. This is how I scoped this problem. Here's how I came up with this solution. This is the why behind this solution and where it's going to deliver impact to the organization. Here are the unknowns or open questions that I would recommend you continue to dig into or explore. And that process and framing is something that, I do not every day, but all the time in my job, right? Is figuring out how to make those quick decisions, build the business case behind it, present it in a way that you're concise and really focus on the strategic value to the organization, and then refine after that. So case competitions would be the other experience that I would strongly recommend that Foster students take advantage of. It's really, you can't replicate it once you're out of school. It's really hard to do that in that environment where it's a safe space and you're really just there to try and learn and grow and all of that. So that would be another recommendation.
Yeah, that's great advice. We are constantly trying to create more opportunities like this. So in career management, we're exploring ones that are specifically about sustainability now, because we want students to have those experiences. So we're coming to the end of our time here this morning on our conversation. I would love to ask you, I think really one last question, which is, you're now coming up on a year, right, out into this role. What do you know now that you wish you had known while you were in the program or even before you started your MBA? Not technical skills, but what is the broader life lessons that you're aware of at this point?
So that's a great question. And I'm sure once we sign off here and I think about this some more, I'm going to be like, but what about, I wish I would have said that. The thing that I'll say, and this might sound a little woo-woo, but we as individuals get confronted with an incredible amount of shoulds in our lives. Like, you should be doing this, you should be networking in this way, you should take this class, you should do that. And in looking back, thinking about all of those shoulds and feeling the pressure and the pull of all of those shoulds ended up creating, in some ways, a lot of noise, because I was like, okay, I should do this, I should do that, and there's only so much time in the day. You only have so much energy and so much capacity. So I think what I've reflected on a lot is there's always going to be all of these different opportunities. And so really kind of focusing in and always coming back to where you want to go in your career, what is best for you based off of how you build relationships, what your unique skills and strengths are, how you are motivated, what you're driven to accomplish, and really focus on that first, and then consider all of these opportunities within that context. And so I'm still grappling with this today. There's in my job, it's like, you should be approaching it this way, or you should be, talking about it in that way, or you should be doing this, you should be doing that. And at the end of the day, they hired me. They didn't hire who I should be. And so I am always trying to come back to what do I uniquely bring to this experience and this problem, and leading with that, of course, always being open to growing and evolving and adapting to new perspectives and feedback and all of that. That's not what I'm saying, but I just don't lose sight of your own unique gifts and skills and strengths, and allow that to kind of power you through in your work. Because if you pay attention to the shoulds, you're kind of robbing the world the opportunity to get to know like your unique you, and for you to really kind of shine and grow. So that's what I've been thinking about a lot lately. It sounds a little woo-woo, but it has been something that I've been reflecting a lot about. And it comes back to authenticity and storytelling and a lot of the things that we've talked about today, and kind of your why. And so that would be the thing that I would kind of underscore as I look back on my time at Foster, especially because you're busy, you're so busy, and there's only so much time. So that's what I would impart in terms of reflections.
First, know thyself.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to leave it, and that's great advice. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to speak with me. for this conversation on careers and professional life.
Thank you. This was a fantastic discussion, and I'm very honored to be here.
As always, you can find links to the resources we discussed in the show notes at conversationsoncareers.com. If you like this episode and are interested in a career in sustainability, you can find some others that you might like with Rachel Hester, Austin Morton, and Mac Hopin at conversationsoncareers.com/impact. Thank you for listening to another episode of Conversations on Careers and Professional Life. I'd love to hear what you think about the podcast. You can email me at gheller@uw.edu. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or classmate.